when people are pessimistic, and think that nothing good is going to happen in the future, well, that kind of fear feeds on itself and keeps the economy from recovering too. One of the things that the Roosevelt government did in the United States and the British did by devaluing in 1931 was change expectations. They came in and they provided a whole set of new plans and saying, we are going to reflate this economy. We're going to do everything possible. You haven't seen such leadership in the Eurozone crisis. You haven't seen such leadership in the case of the American recession. That the response has been more muted, more careful, more studied. And so, based on that, based on the fact that there's been no big breakthrough in changing expectations, one would predict that the crisis could go on for at least, another 5 years. One thing we learned from history is that between World War II and basically the 1980s in the United States and other developed countries, we had no banking crises, no major banking crises. With the process of deregulation, whereby the market was supposed to discipline actors, we found that crises came back. And so the types of regulation that were imposed after World War II were restrictive, yes, but they limited crises. They raised the cost of borrowing and capital, and yet this was a period of fast economic growth. And so it would be interesting to look back and say, why not look at tighter regulation on financial institutions? Coming out of this crisis, in the US case or the European case, what we would hope for is a more competitive political process. For instance, in the case of global financial institutions, how much political clout do they have compared to those people in the Central Valley of California that are put out of their homes? In the European Union, how much is their democratic deficit? Are the politicians in Brussels responding to the needs of the people in the countries in crisis? Are the financial lobbyists, are they getting oversized? And make a fiscal transformation, move to the fiscal union, put your finances back on a solid footing so that once the trouble does come, look, machines break. Airplanes crash, unfortunately. Machines blow up. Your computer fails. Everything can go wrong. You want to be in a position fiscally when the next crisis comes, because you just can't avoid them totally. You want to be in a position that you can deal with it. You've got to re-regulate. You've got to get a fiscal transfer, and most of all, we have to just change the outlook and say, look, we want to go for solid economic growth, and we don't need to just endlessly create new financial products. Let's build something. Let's employ people building things. Let's reindustrialize and find out how we can solve the bigger problems of the world.